Hey warrior, the sun rises above you. Another day quietly begins again. Before you reach for your phone, before you let the world tell you who to be, you stand at a choice. A single, sacred morning moment where your mind is still yours, where possibility waits in silence, where the person you want to become is listening closely, waiting for you to speak. Words are not just empty sounds that disappear into the air. They are seeds being planted in the soil of consciousness. They are architects drawing blueprints for the house you live in. They are the compass quietly turning, pointing your life in one direction or pulling it toward another. The ancient Stoics knew this deeply. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and philosopher, a man who ruled an empire yet worked hardest on himself, wrote in his private meditations, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." He understood that the real battle for a meaningful and steady life is won or lost first in the unseen theater of the mind. And those first quiet morning moments when you decide which voice speaks are where most people surrender. They wake up and instantly reach for their bright, buzzing phones. They let fear speak through headlines. They let comparison speak through feeds. They let worry speak through replays of yesterday's mistakes and tomorrow's anxiety. They hand over their morning attention, which means they hand over their day, and eventually, they hand over their life. But you are here for a reason. Something in you is done living like that on autopilot. So ask yourself honestly, warrior. What if the words you speak to yourself each morning are not just casual, throwaway sentences? What if they are the foundation underneath everything you do today? What if rewiring your mind is not about complicated techniques, expensive courses, or endless therapy, but about 5 simple words spoken with clarity and intention, with belief and with respect, knowing you are speaking directly to the most important person you will ever walk with? Yourself. Science is catching up with Stoicism. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize and rewire itself, shows us that repeated thoughts create real physical pathways in the brain. Repeat a thought often enough, and it becomes a mental highway. Your mind literally reshapes itself based on what you feed it. The words you speak each morning are the first meal your consciousness eats. So make that meal nourishing and clean. Make it strong, grounded, and intentional. Make it count instead of careless. Think about your usual mornings. When you wake and instantly scroll, what actually happens inside you? Your mind is flooded with noise you did not consciously choose. Headlines crafted to trigger fear. Posts designed to trigger comparison. Messages pulling you into fires that are not even your own. Before you have taken one breath, you are already in reaction mode. Your nervous system is hijacked early. Your internal state is outsourced quickly, and you barely noticed it happening. But here is the important truth. There is always a brief window, a sacred, soft opening right after you wake up and open your eyes. In that window, your mind is quiet. The world has not yet entered. You have not yet invited chaos in. In that moment, you hold power to set the tone for everything that will unfold after this. That is what these 5 words are for. They are your anchor in the morning. They are your compass for the day. They are your declaration to yourself and to the universe around you about who you are choosing to be. Today, I am giving you 5 words. Not long paragraphs, not complex theories. Just 5 simple, powerful words rooted in Stoic wisdom and practice, with the potential to transform how you see yourself and struggle, how you interpret challenge and opportunity, how you hold your own potential. These are not magic spells. They will not work by accident. If you whisper them once, then forget them for weeks, nothing truly changes within you. But if you commit to them, if you speak them every morning and allow them to sink deep, they will begin to reshape you. They will interrupt old mental patterns that have kept you stuck and small. They will support a version of you that is calmer, stronger, and intentional. The Stoics were never armchair philosophers. They were people living in difficulty. Men and women who knew war, knew exile, knew grief and loss. Epictetus was born into slavery and became one of history's great teachers. Seneca advised emperors while living under the shadow of exile and death. Marcus Aurelius led armies and ruled, yet wrote privately about inner peace. They did not find strength by avoiding the hardships life placed before them. They found strength by changing how they spoke to themselves about hardship. They mastered their internal dialogue first, and if they could do it through conditions far harsher than ours, then you can begin that work too. Your mind is listening right now. It is always listening for instruction. It is ready to be rewired, redirected, retrained with new patterns. The question is simple but serious. What will you tell it each morning? Will you repeat the same old story of limitation and quiet self-sabotage? The same fears dressed up as logic? The same excuses dressed up as wisdom? Or will you speak to yourself like someone who deserves better, like someone capable of real growth, like someone who understands the morning is sacred territory, not casual time? Before we go deeper together, if this already resonates with you, if something in you feels ready, tap that like button right now. Drop a comment with this affirmation: my words create my reality. Share this video with someone who keeps doubting their own mind. Subscribe to this channel, Stoic Ocean, because we are building something here. A community of people who refuse to settle for a mediocre inner life. And do not skip through this video. Every word is here for a reason. Stay with me all the way. Let us begin the rewiring together. Word 1. I choose my response. Life will hit you, warrior. That is not a possibility. It is an absolute guarantee. The real question is never whether hardship will show up. The question is always this: who gets to decide what it means? Every morning when you say, I choose my response, you're claiming sovereignty over the one thing no one can ever steal. Not your external circumstances, not even your first raw emotional reaction, but the response that follows after. The space between what happens to you and what you choose to do next. Viktor Frankl, who survived the camps of Nazi concentration during the war, discovered this truth in humanity's darkest hours. He wrote these famous words: between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Sit with what that really means. Your phone buzzes with a message that changes your week completely. Your body aches with an old injury that flares up without any warning. You watch someone you deeply love make choices that are hurting them. A dream you worked hard for suddenly crashes into a solid wall. In each moment, there is a second, a tiny crossroads inside your chest. One path leads toward automatic reaction, the path most people walk daily. They collapse into helplessness quickly. They let frustration poison the day. They spin stories about life being unfair, about always being the unlucky one. But when you wake up saying, I choose my response, you train your mind to see another path, the path of conscious decision. You remind yourself that you are not a leaf blown by every wind. You are not a puppet dancing endlessly on strings pulled by outside events. You are a human being with agency, with choice, with power over yourself. This is Stoicism in pure form. Epictetus taught that we do not control what happens around us at all, but we absolutely control how we respond. He divided life into two categories: things within our power and things outside. What remains within your power? Your judgments and interpretations, your intentions and your priorities, your responses and your effort, your attitude and your willingness to grow. What lies outside your power? Almost everything else, honestly. The weather and the economy, other people's decisions and opinions, the past that already happened, the exact shape of the future, how fast your goals manifest outwardly, whether people understand your choices. When you waste energy fighting what you cannot possibly control, you drain yourself and become weak. You exhaust your spirit battling walls instead of walking through open doors. You spend whole days in frustration, angry at conditions beyond your reach. But when you bring your focus back to what you can control, your response, you become quietly unstoppable. You are working with reality now, not constantly pushing against it. You become someone who can navigate storms with a surprising inner calm because your peace is no longer anchored outside you. Let us be very practical here. You wake up tomorrow morning. Before you grab your phone or start mentally listing your problems, you speak to yourself on purpose. I choose my response. You say it slowly and clearly. You say it like you mean it. You are programming your mind for the day. You're choosing an identity that is responsive, not reactive. Not controlled by everything, but in control of yourself. Then, of course, life will test you. You receive news that a financial situation is far more complicated than you hoped or expected. Your first impulse is pure panic, maybe even a wave of despair. But because you started your day with those 4 grounded words, a small pause appears inside you. You remember, even for a breath, I choose my response. You still feel concern, that is human, but you do not fall into spirals. You do not catastrophize every detail. You assess the situation more calmly. You make a plan and take steps. You respond instead of reacting blindly. Or someone you deeply trusted lets you down in a painful way. The older version of you would have carried that betrayal like a stone on your heart for weeks or even months. But now, you are rewiring your mind. I choose my response. You allow yourself to feel the hurt without letting it define your worth. You decide whether to speak openly or to create healthy distance. Either way, you are the chooser. You are not being chosen for. You are the author of your story, not just a character being written. This practice is not about suppressing your real emotions. It is not about pretending everything is fine when it hurts. It is about understanding clearly that between what happens to you and what you do next, there is power. Your power. The power to pause and breathe. The power to ask yourself honestly, who do I want to be now? What response serves my growth, my peace, and my values? Rewiring does not happen in one day. Your brain has spent many years, maybe entire decades, building pathways that run directly from trigger to reaction. You cannot erase those tracks overnight, but you can begin building new ones. Every time you say, I choose my response, in the morning, you are laying fresh neural tracks. Every time you pause during the day and actually choose instead of react, you are strengthening those new tracks. Over time, choosing becomes your default. Responding with intention becomes your nature. Marcus Aurelius ruled a vast empire, yet faced conspiracies, plagues, and war. He could have responded with cruelty, with tyranny, with bitterness or despair. Instead, again and again, he chose wisdom. He chose patience and self-command. He chose to see each obstacle as a chance to practice virtue. He wrote to himself as a reminder, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Say it every morning, warrior. I choose my response. Feel the weight and freedom inside it. You are not helpless, not a victim. You are someone who chooses deliberately. Here is a simple practice to begin. Each morning, before checking your phone, pause for just 5 slow seconds. Take one deep, grounding breath. Then say these words out loud. I choose my response. Say them with full conviction, as if you are signing a contract. Throughout the day, when something triggers you or hooks your emotions, notice the old reaction, wanting control. Then pause, even for a heartbeat. Remember your morning declaration. Ask yourself quietly, who do I want to be right now? Then choose your response, instead of surrendering to reaction. If this speaks to you deeply, write this in the comments now. I am the author of my reactions. The next word will teach you to see discomfort as real growth. Word 2. Growth lives here. Pain is not automatically your enemy. Discomfort is not always a signal that something has gone terribly wrong. The moment you feel yourself stretched beyond what feels safe or familiar, that is not the universe punishing you. That is growth knocking at your door. When you wake up and say, "Growth lives here," you are declaring that this day, this moment, this challenge is not just a problem to avoid. It is soil where something new and stronger in you can take root. The Stoics called this amor fati, the love of fate and what comes, not just accepting what happens, but embracing it as necessary for who you are becoming. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." He knew we rarely grow in comfort. We grow in the friction between who we are now and who we are trying to become. Most people spend their entire lives running from that friction and stretch. They stay in situations that drain them because leaving feels painfully hard. They avoid important conversations because confrontation feels too scary. They keep their dreams small and quiet because reaching higher risks failure. They scroll endlessly through social media because that feels easier than working. They stay in jobs that crush their spirit because searching for something new feels overwhelming and uncertain. They remain in relationships long after the relationship has stopped truly living because being alone feels scarier than being unhappy together. They convince themselves comfort is happiness, when in truth, comfort often becomes the soft place where dreams go to die. Comfort is the enemy of real growth. Comfort is where deep potential gets buried under maybe someday. When you say growth lives here, every single morning, you are rewiring how you relate to discomfort. You are training your mind to see challenge and unease with new eyes. That anxiety you feel before trying something new is not pure weakness. It is your old self making space for a newer, wider version of you. That frustration you feel when progress is slow and messy and imperfect. That is not failure, warrior. That is depth being added to the core of you. That exhaustion you feel after really pushing yourself. That is not breaking down. That is you breaking through. Here is how this looks when life gets very real. You finally sit down to learn a skill you kept postponing. Maybe it is a language you always said you'd study. Maybe it is an instrument you admired from a distance. Maybe it is a craft you have secretly envied for years. The first attempts are clumsy and awkward in every way. Your fingers do not move the way you want them. Your mind cannot hold everything you are trying to absorb. Every instinct inside you screams to quit and run back. Back to what feels easy and what flatters your ego. Back to the places you already know how to shine in. But this morning you decided, growth lives here. Remember that. So you pause instead of fleeing. You breathe instead of escaping. You recognize this uncomfortable feeling. This is not failure at all. This is the sensation of new neural pathways forming. This is your brain literally reshaping itself for new knowledge. You stay with the difficulty, not because it feels pleasant, but because you have trained yourself to see discomfort differently. You now read it as a sign you are moving in the right direction. Sometimes the discomfort is emotional, not just physical or mental. A relationship in your life needs a boundary you never set. Your heart races as you imagine finally having that conversation. Your mind offers 1,000 reasons to stay silent and compliant. Keep the peace at all costs. Do not rock the boat now. Do not risk disappointing anyone. The fear feels overwhelming because you are about to do something your nervous system learned to avoid since you were young. You're about to prioritize yourself, even if someone feels disappointed. Growth lives here, you tell yourself, right here inside this trembling fear. Right here in this exact moment where you choose yourself anyway. Even though your hands are shaking, even though your voice might crack. The old neural pathways scream loudly, telling you to retreat and shrink. But you are building new pathways, stronger and cleaner than before. Ones that understand a hard truth. Loving yourself sometimes means other people feel uncomfortable. Respecting yourself sometimes means other people will not understand you. Growing into who you are often means outgrowing certain dynamics. Epictetus was born into slavery, chained by circumstances and status. He could have spent his life bitter, resentful, cursing his fate. He could have stared at others, wishing for different circumstances forever. Instead, he found freedom inside the one place no chains reach, his own disciplined and trained mind. He grew in those conditions, not in spite of them, but through them, step by step. He later taught this simple truth. It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that really matters. His entire philosophy was born from finding growth in harsh soil. This is not toxic positivity. This is not pretending hardship itself is some shiny gift. Some things that happen are brutal. Grief is real and heavy. Loss is real and disorienting. Injustice is real and painful. There are valleys so dark that growth feels impossible there. Yet even in those valleys, even when you feel empty, one truth quietly remains present. You can let suffering diminish you, or you can let it deepen you. You can emerge harder and bitter, or you can emerge wiser and better. Not because suffering is good. It is not automatically good, but because you still hold power over what you do with it. Say it every morning clearly. Growth lives here. Say it when life feels easy and when it feels impossible. Say it when you feel excited and when you feel exhausted. You are teaching your mind to treat every moment as potential. You are building a version of you that does not shrink from challenge. You are becoming someone who knows the best things in life usually live just beyond what scares you most. Here is how to practice this in your real day-to-day. When you feel discomfort arise, physical, emotional, or mental, pause before distracting yourself away. Instead of immediately trying to escape, numb, or fix it, ask yourself two simple questions. What is this trying to teach me? Where is the growth in this? Sometimes the answer is obvious. Sometimes it will take months or years to fully see. But just by asking the questions, you have already shifted direction. You're changing your relationship with discomfort in that moment. You're training your mind to look for opportunity inside challenge. If you are ready, declare it. I welcome the discomfort of becoming. The next word will anchor you in the only moment you truly have. Word 3. Today matters most. Yesterday is a ghost now. No matter how loud it feels. Tomorrow is a promise whispered, never fully guaranteed to anyone. But today, this day, is breathing. Today is here in your hands. Today is the only real canvas you can actually paint on. When you wake up and say, today matters most, you're pulling your consciousness out of the two main prisons that trap most human beings daily. The prison of regret about the past and the prison of anxiety about the future. You are anchoring yourself gently in the only moment that exists. The Stoics were obsessed with this. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, confine yourself to the present, not because the past is meaningless or the future totally unimportant, but because this present moment is the only place your power lives. Think about how much mental energy you leak away every single day. You replay conversations from last month, wishing you had said something different. You relive mistakes from years ago, punishing yourself for what is fixed, or you project yourself into next week, next month, or even next year, building elaborate disaster scenarios that may never actually happen. You rehearse arguments in your head with people not even in the room. You worry about outcomes you cannot see or control yet. Meanwhile, today quietly slips past, falling through your fingers like water. The one day you truly influence becomes a blurred background because you were busy living everywhere except right now. This is not abstract philosophy. This is about psychological survival. When your attention is split constantly between past regret and future fear, you operate at half capacity today. You miss opportunities right in front because your mind is somewhere else. You sit talking to someone you love, but you are replaying yesterday's words. You sit in a meeting at work, but already panic about next week. You damage relationships subtly because you're not really present. Your partner is trying to connect, but you are stuck in your head, planning, worrying, and regretting. You make poor decisions often because you are reacting to ghosts, instead of responding to reality now. You say yes to things needing a no, because you are not clear enough in the present moment to see what you actually want or need. When you say, "Today matters most," every single morning, you train your mind to come back home. Home to this breath in your chest, home to this moment in your hands, home to the only time and place you can actually build your life. You're not denying your past. You're choosing not to live there. You're not ignoring the future. You're choosing not to be frozen by it. Here is how this looks in practice. You wake up and your mind immediately jumps ahead to the week. Appointments, deadlines, obligations pile up like a tall mountain. The weight of it all presses on your chest before you rise. Anxiety floods in because your mind is trying to solve 5 days of problems all at once, instantly. But now you have a new anchor. Today matters most. You speak those words slowly and feel your awareness shift. Yes, those tasks and dates exist. But right now, in this moment, what truly needs your attention? Maybe it is simply making your bed. Maybe it is drinking a full glass of water. Maybe it is moving your body gently. Maybe it is sending one message to someone you genuinely care about. The future will not arrive in a lump. It will arrive one present moment at a time, just like this. You do not need to carry all of it on your shoulders right now. You only need to show up fully for the day that is actually here. Or maybe your prison is the past. You are haunted by an old version of yourself and your decisions. You carry shame for who you were, for chances you missed, people you hurt. That weight follows you into today, coloring every new experience vaguely. You want to move forward bravely, but you keep looking over your shoulder. Today matters most. Those 3 words become permission to release what you cannot rewrite. Not because the past is meaningless, but because drowning in it does not honor anyone involved. Especially not the person you are now. The person you were back then did the best they could manage with the awareness they had then. The person you are today has learned from everything you lived through. Today is where you get to apply those lessons with open eyes. Today is where redemption actually lives. Not in rewriting yesterday's story, but in writing today's story differently. Seneca spent long years in exile, stripped of rank and familiarity. He could have spent that time bitter about what was taken or terrified about what might come. Instead, he wrote his most profound work during those lonely, uncertain years. He understood each day was a complete life in miniature. He wrote, "Begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life." Each morning was a rebirth to him. Each night was a quiet completion. He squeezed meaning from the present because it was all he truly had. This kind of rewiring changes everything. When you stop mortgaging today's joy for some future achievement, you often become more effective anyway. When you stop pouring energy into a past you cannot alter, you have more strength available for the challenges of this day. You become someone who is here, fully here, grounded and engaged. Present in conversations and experiences, alive to what actually is, instead of haunted by what was or paralyzed by what might be. Say it every morning with intention. Today matters most. Let those words pull you into now, into this real, living moment. Let them remind you that this day, this unrepeatable set of hours, is not rehearsal. It is your life. Not someday in the distant future, not back then in memory. Today, right here, right now. This is where you build everything that truly matters to you. Here is a simple practice you can start immediately. Each morning when you wake up, before doing anything else at all, ask yourself one focused question. What needs my attention right now, in this exact moment? Not what needs attention this week. Not what needs attention this year. What needs attention right now? Maybe it is drinking some water. Maybe it is 5 slow, deep breaths. Maybe it is writing 3 things you feel genuinely grateful for. Start small and honest, not dramatic. Start with this single moment only. Build from there, moment by moment. If this is helping you shift how you see your day, comment below and tell me clearly which word so far resonates most. Subscribe for more Stoic wisdom delivered to you every single week. Share this with someone who needs to finally live in the present. The next word will confront the lie that has quietly kept you from peace. Word 4. I am enough. You have been carrying a lie for so long it feels like truth. The lie that you must be more before you deserve any real peace. That you must achieve much more before you have earned rest. That you must fix yourself completely before you are worthy of love. That lie has stolen years from you. It ends here. It ends now. When you wake and say, I am enough, you are not claiming perfection or flawless success. You are claiming wholeness today. You are declaring that your value is not chained to productivity. Your worth is not measured by how many people approve. Your humanity is not some prize you have to earn by performing. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus taught that our true nature, our capacity for reason and virtue, is already complete within us. He said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." You already possess what matters most. You have simply forgotten to look. The world has trained you carefully to feel forever insufficient inside. Every advertisement whispers softly that you are incomplete without them. Buy this and you will finally be happy, whole and secure. Wear this and you will finally be attractive and acceptable enough. Own this and you will finally be successful in everyone's eyes. Every social media scroll suggests other people have cracked some code that you somehow missed completely. Look at their flawless life online, their perfect body and perfect wins. Every comparison quietly tells you that you are already behind. While you are struggling to stand, everyone else seems to be thriving. While you're still figuring life out, everyone else seems to have arrived. The treadmill never stops moving. Achieve this goal, then the next one. Make this much money, then double it. Reach this level, then climb higher. Get promoted, then chase another title. Build this, then build something bigger. The finish line keeps on moving because the game is quietly rigged. You are never meant to arrive. You are meant to keep chasing, to keep proving and justifying yourself, to keep earning worth you already had. But here is the quiet truth, warrior. You do not need to earn what you already carry inside. You do not need to arrive at a destination you already stand in. You are enough right now in this exact imperfect moment. Exactly as you are, breathing here. But what if you stepped off that exhausting treadmill for once? What if you stood still briefly and asked honest questions inside? Who decided I was not enough? Where did this measuring stick even come from originally? When did I agree, consciously or not, to let external achievements define my internal worth? The answer may quietly shake you. You never consciously agreed to this. It was programmed into you slowly, repeatedly, and from many directions until you accepted it as reality. When you say, "I am enough," every morning with intention, you're actively deprogramming yourself. You're reminding your mind of a truth that existed long before the world taught you doubt. You entered this world already enough. No baby questions their worthiness. No small child believes they must achieve something to deserve space. That deep knowing of belonging is still somewhere inside you. buried under years of conditioning, but still present, still true, still waiting for you to remember. Here is what begins to change when you finally embrace this. You stop performing for approval. You stop twisting yourself into shapes that keep others comfortable while betraying yourself. You start making decisions based on what aligns with your values, not on what will impress people who barely know you. You say no without guilt. You say yes without permission. You exist without apology. Someone questions your choices. In the past, their doubt would have thrown you into a spiral, replaying every detail in your mind, defending yourself to an invisible jury, trying to prove you are right, seeking validation from people still fighting their own battle with enoughness. But you have rewired your mind. I am enough. Their opinion is only an opinion. It does not define your reality. It does not decide your worth. You can consider their perspective calmly without being shattered by disagreement. Or maybe the voice of "not enough" comes from somewhere deeper inside. You look in the mirror and every flaw feels magnified. You review your life and see only what is missing, never what is present. You compare your chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 20 and call yourself a failure. The inner critic is relentless, picking apart what you do, who you are, who you were. It sounds like protection, but it is actually poison. I am enough. When you say those words, you are not killing the critic. You are refusing to let it have the final word anymore. You acknowledge the voice gently without obeying it blindly. You are saying, "I hear you, but I do not serve you anymore." Your worthiness is not up for debate. Your enoughness is not measured by thoughts on your worst days. Being enough does not mean you stop growing or changing. It means you grow from wholeness, not from a wound of lack. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the known world, still struggled. He wrote reminders about his own smallness in the vast universe. Not to punish himself, but to free himself from pressure to be more than human. He understood that accepting limits was not weakness, but wisdom. He wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself in your way of thinking. Everything you need to feel whole already lives inside you. Say it every morning. I am enough. Say it even when, especially when, you do not yet believe it. You are not selling yourself a fantasy. You are remembering a fact the world trained you to forget. You are complete. You are whole. You are enough." Here is your daily practice. Each morning, before the day rushes in, take out a page or open a simple note on your phone. Write 3 things about yourself that already make you complete. Your capacity to love deeply, your ability to learn and adapt, your resilience after every setback, your kindness when no one watches. It could be anything real, as long as it reminds you you do not need to earn what you already are. You already have worthiness. Carry those 3 truths with you throughout the day ahead. When the voice of "not enough" tries to rise again, return to what you wrote. Remember who you are. You are enough. The final word teaches you the most liberating skill. Word 5. I release control. Your hands are tired from gripping so tightly. Your mind is exhausted from trying to orchestrate outcomes you were never meant to control. You have been fighting a battle you cannot win, trying to force life to follow a script only you can see. And the cost is your peace, your presence, your ability to breathe without anxiety wrapped around your chest. When you wake up and say, "I release control," you are not surrendering to chaos. You are surrendering to reality. You are acknowledging a truth the Stoics built their philosophy on. There is what you control, and there is everything else, and everything else is almost everything. Epictetus drew a clear line. He taught, "Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens." This is not passivity. This is power, real power. the kind that comes from knowing where your influence ends and where acceptance must begin. Think about what you have been trying so hard to control. Other people's opinions of you, how quickly your dreams manifest, whether people you love change, heal, or choose differently. The precise timeline of your healing, the behavior of strangers online, the outcome of situations where you have already given your best. You cannot control any of that, but you have poured so much energy into trying anyway. Energy that could have been spent on what you actually can influence. Your effort, your attitude, your growth, your responses, the way you show up today. The illusion of control is seductive. It tells you, if you plan perfectly, anticipate every variable, manage every tiny detail, nothing bad will happen. But life does not work that way. The tighter you grip, the more life slips through your fingers. The more you micromanage outcomes, the more suffering you create inside your own mind. Because control is a myth, and chasing myths is exhausting. When you say, "I release control every morning," you are practicing one of the hardest and most freeing skills a human can learn. You are training yourself to see the difference between influence and control. You can influence many things. You can show up with intention. You can do your best work today. You can communicate clearly and honestly. You can set boundaries that protect you. You can make plans and take action. You can prepare yourself for opportunity. You can invest in your growth and keep showing up day after day. But after that point, after you have done what is yours, you must let go. You must trust the process. Not that everything will unfold exactly how you want, exactly when you want, but that you will be okay no matter how it unfolds. Trust that you have what it takes to face whatever arrives. Trust that life has a timing bigger than your schedule. Your job is to do your part and then let life do its part. Here is what this looks like when it is real, not theoretical. You care deeply about someone who is making choices that hurt them. You have said what needed saying. You have offered support and honesty. You have shown up in every way you know how to show up, but they are still walking a path you cannot walk for them. Every instinct wants to save them, to control their decisions, to drag them toward the life you can see they deserve. But you cannot, and that powerlessness sits heavy in your chest. I release control. You say those words slowly and something shifts. Not in their life, but in yours. You can still love them. You can still be available, but you stop carrying responsibility for choices that are not yours. You stop letting their journey steal your entire peace. You remember that everyone, even the people you love most, has their own path, their own lessons, their own timing. Your job is not controlling their story. Your job is living your story with integrity and courage. Or maybe what you are trying to control is time itself. You have a vision of where you should be by now, a checklist of milestones you were supposed to hit, but life brought detours you did not choose, delays that made no sense, doors that stayed shut when you were sure they'd open. Now you are angry at time, at the universe, at yourself, for not being where you planned. I release control. The timeline is not yours to own. You can work hard, you can stay committed, but you cannot force readiness before its season. You cannot rush what is still forming. Seneca wrote during his own waiting, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." Your job is the preparation. The timing of opportunity is not in your hands. Accepting this does not mean giving up. It means showing up fully today while loosening your grip on tomorrow. Marcus Aurelius led armies, but could not control the outcome of every battle. He governed an empire, but could not prevent plague, betrayal, or death. So he focused on what was his character, his decisions, his responses. He wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion. There is never any need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you cannot control." He found freedom not by dominating life, but by releasing what was never his. Say it every morning. I release control. Feel your shoulders soften. Feel your jaw unclench. You are not giving up. You are giving over. You are trusting life enough to stop fighting everything. You are becoming someone who influences what they can and accepts what they cannot. And in that acceptance, you find a peace you were chasing through control. Here is your practice for today. Take a moment right now and bring to mind one thing you have been trying to control. It might be someone's behavior. It might be an outcome. It might be a rigid timeline. Just choose one thing. Now, consciously release it. Say to yourself, I release control of this. Notice what happens in your body. Notice what happens in your mind. You may feel a small drop of relief, a little more space inside. That relief is freedom beginning. That is what releasing control feels like. Type this in the comments if you feel it. I trust the process beyond my control. 5 words, 5 keys to unlock a mind that has been holding itself prisoner. I choose my response. Growth lives here. Today matters most. I am enough. I release control. These are not just words. They are not mindless affirmations. They are not shallow positivity that pretends pain is not real. They are something deeper. They are the foundation of a new internal architecture. They are the language of someone who has decided their inner world matters more than any outer circumstance. They are the voice of a person who understands that rewiring the mind is not luxury. It is survival. It is how you navigate a world constantly trying to define you, limit you, and tell you who to be. It is how you keep your peace when everything around you is loud and chaotic. It is how you stay grounded when life throws curveballs you never saw coming. It is how you build a life of meaning and purpose, even when conditions outside are less than ideal. The Stoics did not craft these ideas from comfort and ease. They forged them in exile, in slavery, in war, in grief, in the raw difficulty of being human when it hurts. They left us a roadmap, not because they had every answer, but because they asked the same questions you ask now. How do I find peace in chaos? How do I grow through pain? How do I live fully in a world I cannot control? How do I keep my dignity when life strips things away? How do I find meaning when everything feels empty? How do I keep going when I simply want to stop? These questions have echoed through thousands of years. The Stoics answered not by changing the world, but by changing themselves. By changing how they thought, how they spoke to themselves, what they told their minds every single day. You rewire your mind one morning at a time, one word at a time, one choice at a time. There will be days you forget, days old patterns pull you back, days you reach for your phone before you reach for your words, days you react instead of respond, days you let fear drive instead of wisdom. That is not failure, that is being human. That is the process. The goal is not perfection. The goal is awareness. The goal is showing up and doing your best, even when your best feels small or clumsy. Even when you mess up, you can return to these words. You can reset. You can choose again how you speak to yourself. You do not need perfection. You need commitment. You need to wake up and talk to yourself like someone who deserves a beautiful inner life. Because you do. These 5 words are waiting for you every morning. They will not force themselves on you. They will not work without you. But if you show up, if you speak them with intention, if you let them shape how you move through your day, they will change you. Not overnight, but undeniably. They will reshape your pathways, your default reactions, the stories your mind tells. You will slowly notice you are less reactive, more thoughtful, more steady, more at peace with what you cannot control, more confident in your worth, more present in each moment. At first, the change is subtle. You may not see it clearly until you look back later and realize how far you have come. That is the power of daily practice. That is the power of speaking to your mind with wisdom. Your mind is listening. It is always listening. It is always waiting for instruction. What will you tell it tomorrow? What will you tell it every morning from now on? If this resonated with you, hit that like button. Drop your favorite affirmation in the comments. Share this with someone who needs these 5 words. Subscribe, because we are just beginning. Your transformation matters. Your growth matters. You matter. Leave your commitment below. I am the architect of my mind.